All right, we're back. Thanks for tuning in. I have Lando Voyles, the Pinal County attorney, on the line. How are you, Lando?
I'm great, thanks. Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me.
I'm glad that you took the time to sit with us for a little bit. There is a lot of buzz around two things. Pinal County now boasts that it is the safest county in all of Arizona. Is that right?
Yes, that's exactly what I said.
The per capita sex offenders that are walking around your county.
Yeah, that's absolutely
And the other
correct.
thing is that apparently you made U.S. history. I don't quite understand it. How did you make U.S. history?
First of all, let me say this is something that I promised I would do when I first took office, and that was we were going to interrupt drug trafficking coming through Pinal County. That's exactly what we've done. What we had to do that was actually get Border Patrol to be cross-deputized by the Sheriff's Office using Sheriff Paul's authority, and then sending them up onto the reservation, which is a reservation that extends from Mexico all the way up into Pinal County, pull the drug smugglers off of the mountaintops, bring them into state court, and prosecute them in state court. So I'm literally prosecuting crimes from federal land in state court.
So if this can be done, why haven't others done it?
You know, it's difficult for me to answer that because I'm not sure why other county attorneys aren't doing it, why other DAs aren't doing it. Maybe it's because they feel like that's not their land, so it's not their problem. I believe this drug trafficking is an entire U.S. problem. And because of that, I believe I have a responsibility to protect the people of Pinal County.
But is it, I mean, Lando, honestly, is it really something that the county attorney should do? Doesn't it cost the county money and the state money when really it's a federal issue?
You're absolutely correct. It absolutely does cost the state money to prosecute these cases that should be prosecuted in federal court. Unfortunately, the federal government doesn't prosecute marijuana cases that are under 500 pounds of marijuana. You may not know that as a citizen, but I'll tell you the cartel members do. And to your first question there, yes, I absolutely believe that it's my responsibility to protect the citizens of Pinal County. These drug smugglers are violent. Just recently, Sheriff Paul warned the people of Pinal County that we learned of sicarios that are coming up.
Lando, what do you mean by sicarios? I'm not familiar with what a sicario is.
These are armed gunmen looking to hunt down and kill anyone who's trying to interrupt their drug trade.
Lando, as you know, a lot of our listeners don't live in Pinal County. So can you touch base a little bit on how this applies to them and how can they, maybe get things moving like you've kind of started here in Pinal County in their own counties where they live?
That's a great question. I recommend that you write your DA, write your county attorney, and request, if this is applicable, to do the same thing.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that. Now, Lando, are you up for taking a few phone calls?
Yes, absolutely. I'd love to take some calls. Thanks.
Great. Okay, Judd, thanks for calling. You have a question. Apparently you're nervous, so you wrote it down. Go ahead, Judd. What's your question?
So I have heard that you have been talking about how Family Center is a main reason why Pinal County is boasting that it's the safest county in Arizona. I don't see the connection between Family Center and a lower sex offender population in Pinal. Sounds a little more reactive and only helps after the crime was committed.
Thanks, Judd. Lando?
Interesting you would ask. Thanks for asking that, Judd. Let me just tell you that word gets out. Word gets out when you're tough on crime, and that's exactly what's happened here. We've actually cut down the investigation of child sex crimes from 6 months and 12 interviews down to 1 interview and 1 day. Being able to do that has allowed us to attack these sex offenders immediately and to start the process in much less time than what we ever had before. By doing that, we've taken all the sex offenders off the street. I say, we're the lowest sex offender per capita in the entire state. But let me explain this a little bit further. You see, prior to actually having these facilities up and running, we would have, on average, 13 reports of sexual abuse or sexual molestation to the sheriff's office and local police, and only 1 of those cases would come to my office. The reason being is that the other 12 didn't want to prolong the process and put their child through this re-victimization over a period of 6 months, and again, an average of 12 interviews per child. This way, we all work together out of one facility. All the different disciplines work out of this same facility at the same time. You have that one interview. We get to hear it at the same time. You get that packaged up case. You get to take it straight to trial. And so now, instead of just getting 1 out of 13, allowing those other 12 to go out and reoffend and continue to live on the street, now we get all 13.
Okay, let's go to Janice. Thanks for calling, Janice. What is your question that you have for Lando? Go ahead.
Hi, Lando. So you prosecute these guys, but who catches them?
Great question, Janice. You see, Sheriff's Office doesn't have the authority to go on the reservation. Border Patrol doesn't have the authority to arrest on state crimes. So by using the cross-deputization and the authority of the sheriff to actually cross-deputize Border Patrol, now they have the authority to go onto the reservation and arrest for state crimes.
Wait, Lando, time out. Who actually has the authority to do this?
Sheriff Paul used his authority to cross-deputize the Border Patrol, and actually Steve Henry created the operation that Border Patrol actually used to go out and take these scouts down.
Steve Henry is the guy you're actually running with, right? The Law and Order team?
Yes, he's a very experienced, very intelligent man.
Well, Lando, thanks again for calling in. I really appreciate it. We don't have the biggest audience, but we have an engaged audience, which really matters. As a tradition, I'll give you the last word. Go ahead.
Well, it's definitely been brief, but I hope it's been informative. You know, this is literally the tip of the iceberg of the things that we've done in Pinal County over the past 3.5 years. Since I took office, I'm the only office in the state who's the recipient of the human trafficking grant from DHHS. We've charged more cases than ever before. The arrests are down. Our conviction rate is extremely high, one of the highest in the state. Not to say that's how it's always going to be, but that is a fact. And I feel comfortable saying that Pinal County is the safest county for our children and vulnerable adults in the entire state. Thanks again for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Hey, thanks again. We'll be back right after this.